Indeed, may the worthy fall and rise again, harder, better, faster, stronger, as Blood Knights. RuinusInsight here, welcoming you to part 1 of a brand new modded Total Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires campaign. Taking second place in the community vote after Nagash, who we will do at a later date, Champions of Undeath, Conquest of the Blood Dragons. I'm not upset about this mod swap. I love Nagash to death, but as many of you know, the vampire counts are my favorite faction, the blood dragons are my favorite vampires, and Abarash, the first blood dragon, is my favorite character in all of Warhammer, so I could not be more excited to see if this glorious mod does them all justice. But before we do, if you enjoy this content and want to see it updated regularly, don't forget to drop your likes and comments for the algorithm down below, as scheduling, episode, and campaign length are tied to engagement. Huge shout out to the modders for their amazing work, and as always, the biggest of shout outs to you guys for all your comments and support. YouTube is my hobby, not my day job, and your comments keep it fun and keep this channel alive. Anyway, we're going to take a quick look at the faction and difficulty setup, but do feel free to skip to gameplay if not interested via the chapters below. So, for the faction, we have the ability to set up order libraries, which are landmarks significant to Blood Knights, construct blood keeps, and challenge worthy foes, which are mechanics we will get to as we unlock them throughout the campaign. Similar to Chaos, our units gain experience to rank up, and then can be upgraded into more powerful units. I've always loved this system, and the more factions that have it, frankly, the better. On top of that, this will be made slightly easier due to the bonus XP that we gain per turn. We start with a little bit of unique currency, precious metal, and will gain additional currency when raiding enemies, which we will figure out as we go. Significantly, we have no access to raise dead, so a fundamentally different metagame playstyle than the regular vampires. And lastly, we have a more powerful encamp stance available to us. As for Walach Harkon himself, we are immune to the lack of corruption, and frankly, lack of corruption hurting vampires never made any sense in this game. All blood dragons appear to have vanguard deployment just like Vlad, which is insanely powerful, and we can recruit said blood dragons a little bit faster. As for the campaign settings, we are going with very hard, as I generally find that to be the sweet spot, and the AI stats will be dialed up all the way to the max. We will not be bothering to enable the endgame, however, as this is a modded campaign which has its own world-spanning goals and a final battle of its own. And frankly, I find the endgame nowadays to be a little bit tedious. I mean, the endgame scenarios here. Anyway, that's about it for me. Raise the banner of Bloodkeep. All glory to the algorithm. And let's get to it. Alrighty, here we go. I cannot adequately explain how excited I am for this. This is gonna be a grand time. The Ordo Draconis shall rise again, indeed, Walach. Alright, path to victory. Walach Harkon must conquer Nuln to execute the clarion call and eventually join forces with his old master Abarash, the first blood dragon. Nuln is the target because that's where Blood Keep is. Once united with his old master again, they have to build up the Ordo Draconis, complete a library battles, and defeat worthy foes, which will lead them to campaign victory, and as I understand it, that final battle. Now, we have our first mission, which is to kill off this little army here. Ooh, 15 units out of 20, that's not bad. Solid unit count, I would say. And that looks like a fun battle, especially considering our army is relatively small, and we don't have access to raise dead. We have to recruit zombies. But oh well. We're gonna give this a quick read. There are also a bunch of there are a bunch of elements to this particular mod that I will get into later, but I want to get into our first battle first, and then we'll discuss how this all works. Anyway, after you were expelled from the old keep by the foolish mortals from the Empire, you searched for a hideout in the Grey Mountains. Now that you have gathered enough forces to strike back, you need to break through the dwarfen army that secures the entrance to the Grey Mountains. Will do. Alrighty, so we start with Aelfric von Wissenberg, who's the last Castellan and legendary hero, who has the first of the 29 with a fight or die ability. Nice. Power everybody up and hit them hard. We also have a bunch of unique stuff and a slightly altered, it seems, a variation of the lore of vampires, which has access to dark elven lore or dark magic. Well, I guess it's all technically dark magic. Chaos magic, vampire magic, dark elven magic, it's all dark magic. And just variations of it. But anyway, we'll take a look how this compares to the regular sort of vampire lore. And what are you? Bloodkin Aspirant with Lore Keeper. Wins a magic power reserve and wins a magic power reserve +1 per turn. Okay, sure. And you are a caster. Oh, you have the regular lore. Yeah, Curse of Years, Wind of Death, etc., etc. And you can be upgraded via a similar system to the Chaos system. Stronger binding for Grave Knights, or Grave Guard, and Black Knights. Okay, so probably not necessarily for this army, as this is going to be an Ordo Draconis army. We can always make you into a into one of these guys, a Blood Dragon champion. Yeah, that'll be fun. And I wonder, if it's like the Chaos system, will he lose Lore Keeper and gain a new trait? Which is very possible. But anyway, let's jump into our first battle. Replenish troops and training. What do you have? You have also training. Alright, so you're going to go in here and you're going to go for replenish troops. I don't know if it actually... it probably uses both, but whatever. Alright, very good. And... ooh. We got some Ogrebles, we got cannons, we got rangers. This looks like we're immediately going to get a decent fight. Heroic victory. Oh wow, this is actually a solid force considering how few units we have, but we do have a unit of Blood Dragons, plus of course Walach and the 2 heroes. Bloodkin Thralls will... by the looks of their stats, they'll be decent. They'll probably struggle against something like Slayers, but they should be able to rip Dwarf Warriors apart without too much trouble. We're probably going to need to make sure that we use our skeletons to distract the Slayers, so that the damage dealt isn't to our more elite units. But anyway, it looks like fun times. Away we go. First fight for Walach.
Faithful disciple to Amrosh.
Alrighty, here we go. And hey, the Castellan has an actual banner on his lance. Very, very nice indeed. I appreciate that. I'll have a few more banners on the Blood Knights units in general. Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate that this game doesn't have a lot of banners, but yeah. Alright, so we got our standard units of Blood Knights on their nightmares. Blood Knights liking to use nightmares as opposed to skeletal horses, generally speaking, although these guys are looking fairly skeletal and not of the flesh variety, but anyway. Then we have our Bloodkin Thralls, who are out here. Bloodkin Thrall warriors, who appear to be using the assets primarily from the Depth Guard, although they're 1 axe and 1 sword rather than the dual axes and the closed helms of those guys. But otherwise, they look very similar. I know the helmets from the helmets similar to the Blood Dragons, right? It's kind of neat to just take a look at the assets in general. But anyway, these guys plus over, I believe, on this side in the trees right now, we have the Bloodkin Thrall Adept Knights as well, who, you know what, we'll take a better look at once they're outside of those trees. Anyway, the way that we're doing this, everybody's separated so that the cannons don't do too much damage. We have Vanguard deployment on the Blood Knight Dragon Knights and on Walach and the last Castellan, and we head them directly towards the enemy cannons and whatever else they can reach. So, away they go, though it looks like some ogres will move to distract them. Not to worry, our Blood Dragons with our Blood Knights / Blood Dragons will move right into those enemy rangers, get a few hits with their great swords before moving on to the next set. It does look like the enemy ogres want to counteract them to some degree, while Walach and the hero are kind of stuck. That's alright. It's going to take the enemy quite some time to dish out mass amounts of damage to them, and then we pop the Invocated Oath on the Blood Dragon Knights to keep them in decent shape. Out here we have our Bloodkin Thralls and our Skeleton Warriors, Skeletal Warriors, Skeleton Warriors, headed towards these piles of Rangers on the leftmost flank, while the majority of the enemy force is distracted by the Blood Knights and by Walach, which is appropriate as well. First in, getting stuck into the most heated portion of the battle. Anyway, charging into the flanks now, the Bloodkin Adept Knights hit the enemy Rangers from the flank, and we get our units of the... Ooh, I like the cloaks very much. Great cloaks. For those of you who don't subscribe to the no capes policy, but anyway, they're great capes, whatever. Yeah, we got our Bloodkin Adepts, and these guys have Rampage on them, so we gotta be careful in the way that they use them, because they will get distracted by all this, and then get stuck. I believe it's only the infantry units that have a Rampage on them, unless I'm mistaken. Let's see, Bloodkin Thrall Warriors, Armored Damage, or do they have Rampage on them? I thought they did. Undead Fear, these guys definitely don't. Well, I guess we'll see. They are in it to win. Yeah, there they go. They're in Rampage. Alright. I'm not crazy, but it was a little while since I've actually fought this. As in an hour ago. Because I do all the replays after the actual recording. Anyway, looks like the Ogre Bulls are having a pretty bad time against Walach and the Castellan. The Blood Knights have returned and are now returning in terms of their HP as well. Though their vigor is a little bit damaged, they by and large brought down the Ogres in the background. We have our Bloodkin Adept Knights charging in to deal with the enemy Rangers in the background. All the while our Skeletons have moved in. As I said, the plan here was to send the Skeletons to distract the Slayers rather than having the anti-large Slayers dish out damage to our Cav, which will make this a lot easier for them. Alright, keep on destroying those Rangers. Once again, I'm very happy about this battle as well. We got such a great fight to start the campaign off. Usually the first army that you face off against is such a wash. And this one, not so much. We actually have to work for the victory. Anyway, with the enemy back line destroyed, we charge the Blood Knights and the Bloodkin Adept Knights into the back of the enemy Dwarf Warriors, though we will once again still have to be careful about the enemy Slayers. But we just keep sending Skeletons at the Slayers while we have them, and because of their lack of armor, then the Skeletons will be able to dish out sufficient damage. Walach and the Castellan, still holding the banner of Bloodkeep high, continue to be surrounded by the enemy and continue fighting while doing so and trying to break through the enemy lines to reach the enemy Lord, who is in here. Walach has taken a little bit of damage, but it's not really a concern because we have Invocations of Nehek and the Invocation of the Wanderer as well, or the equivalent, available to us. And plenty of healing as needed. I still find it very weird that the hunger is not immediately available on all vampiric lords and heroes. But it's okay, it's available very, very quickly anyway. Anyway, it looks like the enemy army is in very bad shape now. The balance of power is at about 80% in our favor, and the enemy lord is shaken. We're still trying to get through the enemy lines to get to him, but the enemy lines are rapidly dwindling. Overrun by Skeletons and by our Bloodkin. or the Thrall vampires, as well as wherever the blood dragons are running around. Blood Dragonites, yeah, they're in this as well. And there we go. It looks like with that, the rest of the enemy army will shatter. The Lord will book it on out of there with a surprising amount of HP remaining, but we'll chase him down with Walach while he heals. And with no units protecting him, the enemy Lord should fall. And that's just for fun, though. Not that we need to. I believe the first army always gets destroyed regardless of what you do. That said, the Slayers are unbreakable, and their bodies will have to be broken as well. So we're going to have to do a little bit more work on that. Probably a good idea to back off of the Knights a little bit and allow the Skeletons to move on in a little bit more. Once again, watch out for those death blows in that anti-large, and we can just keep on sending droves of Skeletons that we don't care about at the enemy. And then periodically doing some nice cycle charges. Still, great job for the Slayers. They've been holding on far, far longer. Both of the units of Slayers have been holding on far longer than the rest of the enemy army. And this is a great doom for them, isn't it? This is exactly what they want, surrounded on all sides by the hated foe, and they don't like the undead quite a bit. And I don't mean Slayers, I mean dwarfs in general. Although, to be fair, dwarfs have more of a reason to become, well, other than the obvious hatred of the very concept, but in terms of immortality, they have a very much a better reason, you know, other than being hated by their entire race and by their own gods, to become vampires. Elves have basically no reason to become vampires because they have a biological immortality, effectively, and that's generally better than, and probably the superior form of immortality than that offered by the Blood Kiss, as it comes with no drawbacks whatsoever. Nice swing. I still love the fact that these two are fighting together. Yeah, but then vampiric immortality is superior to chaos immortality, because they're more free than being bound to the chaos gods. Though I guess there is the Nagash issue, but, well, at the current timeline in this particular game, Nagash is but a shadow of a memory for all but the vampires, and is not yet coalesced. Anyway, it looks like the last of the Slayers are about to fall or have fallen, and with that, the battle is fully ours. A few of our units are chasing around. One of our Skeletons I decided to let disintegrate, and just to continue the chase a little bit. Not really necessary in this first battle, but just in case. You never know. Alrighty, you know, I am very happy with this mod already, just by virtue of the first battle being a very solid one. We used one unit of skeleton warriors, or lost it, but it was kind of on purpose in the sense that, once again, it's preferable to drown the Slayers in a weak chaff infantry and then have our elites deliver the blow. This also kept our units from being badly damaged by the Slayers' death blows, and will thus allow them to continue fighting. Still an absolutely glorious last stand slash doom for the Slayers, and if we had any true masters of their craft in our army, we might offer a few of them the gift of vampirism. And yes, there are some dwarven vampires. They're rare. They're also naturally resistant to magic, so they're difficult to turn, generally speaking. Although I suppose there have been arguments about the canon regarding dwarf vampires, but there are examples in the dwarf lore. I believe there was a dwarfen vampire in the Genevieve books, though frankly, the Genevieve books do play fast and loose with the vampire canon as well. But anyway, I digress. Let's see. Do we need... Well, we'll probably take the money first. It's a little bit of healing, but it's not so much that it's worth our time and effort, I think. So let's release those captives.
I am Walach Harkon.
Alright, very nice. You are Walach Harkon indeed. Thank you. Great and worthy act for Walach Harkon. Your deeds are recounted far and wide, both with fear and admiration. Does this have to do... Yeah, well, let's see. Quests. Walach's Blood Chalice. I take it we have a quest battle for this. Flaming attacks, heals, well, and ooh, casualty punishment rate for your army. Now that's nice. We'll give this a read once we hit level 20. Ah, that's probably this. Army passive, a crusade of genocide, human army leadership -18, local region currently active. Interesting. Did this activate by defeating the dwarfs? I didn't see what the actual thing here was. The actual objectives. True Banner of Bloodkeep, Hex Area, Self-Ally, Missile Resistance plus 20%, nice, and redirects projectiles towards the firing unit, also nice. We have, we should probably grab the Hunger and then the Curse of Undeath immediately. You know what, let's start with the Hunger, because we're probably going to be well, actually, you know what we need to do? We need to compare. The Curse of Undeath is probably the same, but the Invocation of the Eternal Warrior appears to be a different spell than the regular Invocation of Nehek. It offers damage resistance where the regular Invocation does not, and... okay, let's just get this. Anyway, we still have to get the Curse of Undeath as well. 50% or 0.50% heal per second for 24 seconds, compared to... 0.80% for 18 seconds. I see. And generally speaking, no damage resistance. Alright, interesting. Invocation of Nehek and Curse of Undeath for you, since you can't get the Hunger immediately, and we don't want to waste all of our magics keeping our lords up and running. Mission successful. New mission, rebuild the old keep, destroy the mortal realm. Well, that's a heck of a mission. Destroy the mortal realm. To get immediately. The dwarfs built an outpost to guard the Grey Mountains and left a powerful garrison. They once shattered your keep and order into pieces, and now it is time to return the favor. Swell. Alrighty, and you, sir, Elfric, you will want, I guess, the Hunger immediately as well, and Invocation of the Eternal Warrior. I guess for the next battle, we'll try to cast the heals mostly from the Bloodkin Aspirant, and then once we get the bonuses of the Curse of Undeath, we'll be able to cast it from everybody as well. Now... I love the laughter. So this requires, I take it, 3 dragon scales to occupy the settlement, meaning we're going to have to act as a horde for quite the while. Interesting. We still have to probably book it towards Bloodkeep, so to Nuln we go. We also have a technology available. Several technologies available. And it appears that only Disciples of Aberrash and Order of Draconis are the available things, so we gotta pick one. Alright, what do we have here? Unholy Bond, Armor for Lesser Vampires, so the various Bloodkin, Speed for Lesser Vampires, and Weapon Strength for Lesser Vampires, but this also includes Skeletons. Oh, Lesser Vampire units? This also includes Skeletons and Graveguard, though the degree to which we're going to use those in Walach's army is probably going to be relatively limited. We also have melee attack and melee defense here. Campaign movement range after winning a battle. Oh, that's something to move towards. Post-battle loot's nice as well. Maybe we care about growth. This isn't horde growth, so to some degree, possibly. Casualty or punishment for blood dragon units could be quite powerful. Magic item drop chance is nice as well. There's some great stuff here. I'm gonna say start with speed. Not armor, but speed. And then we'll move into armor as well. Generally speaking, speed is quite nice, and I'm more used to SFO's faster moving vampires. These guys move at reasonable speed as well, though, the Bloodkin anyway, at 38. Certainly standard and faster than standard infantry speed. Also, before we get into the next battle, let's discuss a few things that we've got going on. I took a quick look at the mod, as I mentioned, and we have the Witch Hunter threat, which means Witch Hunters will spawn, I guess, and attack us at some point. And you know what, when this pops the first time, I'll give this big old blurb a read, but I want to get into some more combat. Worthy foes will be available once Aberrashes join the faction. We have the Dragon Scales, which can be acquired by defeating powerful opponents. Martial Valor, which is equivalent to the Beastman sort of dread system, which we can use to unlock armies and additional unit capacities of various types, plus some items, which could potentially be quite interesting. Appears that Phylactery here is a different type of regeneration, which means we'd be able to stack it on top of the regular regen, which is quite nice. though it is only at 25%. And we've got research and campaign movement range. I'm tempted to get this pretty much immediately, but we'll have to see what the cost of things is. Oh wow, 70% armor at the cost of a massive increase to regeneration. Quite interesting as well. Yeah, there's definitely some interesting items here. Alright, we'll take a look at those. Then, so that's the Beastmen system. We also have... Okay, so we have the precious metals, which we acquire by raiding, and other stuff that we use to, I believe, upgrade stuff? Or is it upgrade buildings or something? Anyway, we have this system from Chaos, which allows us to upgrade our units and directly via various, or unlocks via various technologies, so we'll see about those once we unlock them as well. It seems like we can't use any of them as yet because they're tied to technology and veterancy alike, so there's no need to go too deeply into that system as yet. And orders will become available once Abarash has joined the faction. Alright, well that's the basics, so we'll see more of it as we unlock it and discuss what it is and what it does, etc. Ooh, defeating Witch Hunter assaults rewards the following. Total Dark Magic 10,000, Dragon Scale 2, and Martial Valor. Very nice. Alright, so we actually want them to attack us as fast as possible to get the rewards. And this is a threat meter. Alright, so, yeah, we'll give this a read once the threat meter pops up to full. To the next place we go, Gristle Valley. Another Pyrrhic victory. And we've got Quarrelers instead of Rangers this time. We're a little bit damaged, but I think it's probably still worth the fight, so let's have another fight immediately. Go.
Faithful disciple to Abarash.
Alright, here we go, a decent little dwarf stack and our first minor settlement of battle to be had as well. We're going to immediately head on in and try to distract as many of the range units as possible, so both Walach and the Castellan will distract 2 units while we move in with the Blood Dragon Knights and the various Thrall Vampires as well. Thrall Vampires, of course, generally much weaker than a regular vampire is, newly formed as they are, and have not yet come into their own. But they're certainly going to be more powerful than basic infantry units. Alright, just taking in the glorious spectacle. Sadly, there won't be too much to say about this particular battle from a tactical perspective, as it's 2 choke point portions of the battlefield, and our troops won't be moving too much. We could do a little cycle charging if it's necessary, but we do now have enough healing available to us that it's not super necessary against inferior troops, and by and large, these are inferior troops. Granted, we still have to be wary of even things like miners, or perhaps even especially miners, because of their early access to armor-piercing damage. And thus we can't really rely on our heavy armor nearly as much as we can against basic Imperial troops. And of course, between the AI's cheats with regards to leadership and the difficulty, and the fact that we're fighting dwarfs, they're going to be holding the line for quite a while. So, we can get a few cycle charges in and allow the skeleton warriors and the bloodkin infantry to take the damage. Or at least some more of the damage, I should say. I love seeing the lance with the banner. Once again, you can always, because of it, you can always essentially draw your eyes to the particular hero, and we gotta keep him with Walach, so that you can always see where he is. And the banner of Bloodkeep should always fly over where the fighting is thickest. Alright, and it looks like this particular choke point has by and large been obliterated. We haven't taken too much in the way of damage. Some of the Bloodkin have gotten hurt, but I think they started off with 3 units lost, so it's mostly HP damage and not damage to themselves. This unit of Bloodkin, however, suffering a little bit more against these Dwarf Warriors and Miners together, but that's because our Lords haven't been fighting with them, which is about to change. And we'll offer them some healing as well. Alright, lots of effects, and this is a... Huh, where's this coming? Gilded Death is from... Oh, somebody's slowing them down. Which is a good thing. But the dwarves are too slow to escape anyway. Anyway, continuing on, we've still got a while to break through the dwarven ranks here, but our Blood Knights and Bloodkin Knights still have a little bit of work on this side as well. There is a unit of miners of the blasting charges. We certainly don't want them hitting either our Bloodkin or our Skeleton Warriors, so we're going to charge directly at them with our Blood Knights, or Blood Dragon Knights. Our Blood Dragon Knights will take a few hits from those satchel charges, but they're not really a threat to this particular unit. And I should be able to obliterate them just fine. Alrighty, and it looks like those poor miners are having a pretty darn bad day, dropping close to 60% HP, and will continue to drop. There is another unit of Dwarf Warriors here, which we can send our Bloodkin Thrall Infantry to distract while our cavalry here hits them in the back. Right after. Once again, the Dwarves admirably still hold here, though they are starting to run out of units, and unlike the Slayers from last battle, they're not unbreakable, so they will rout sooner rather than later. And yeah, once again, I'm musing on the idea of keeping the regular sorcerer. Where is he? He's in here somewhere. And the Bloodkin aspirant in our army. There is, you know, so generally speaking, Blood Knights or Blood Dragons generally have fairly stunted command of magics. Mostly because they prefer, well, Blood Dragons specifically, prefer their martial aspects rather than relying on magics. Not all of them, of course, but they generally aren't as good casters. Which means that by having at least one unit that can cast and raise dead, it kind of makes sense, rather than keeping a pet necromancer. At least there's still a Blood Knight. Anyway, we've peeled away our unit of Bloodkin Thrall Adept Knights to hit the enemy Grudge Throwers, so that they aren't threatening to anything down here. Looks like the Dwarf Warriors have been ripped apart by the unit of Blood Dragons, hitting them in the back, while the Bloodkin act as the anvil. Looks like these Miners of Blasting charges are back, having rallied, but, well, they're hardly a threat. These guys are still holding as well. But how long will they hold against this? They're not really a threat to Walach and to Aelfric anyway, so... Frankly, if we really wanted to, we could have just kept the two Lords and Heroes together here, and just slowly worked our way through this. But the battle's nearly ours anyway, so... Anyway, there we go. With that, the enemy will shatter. The last of their troops have given up, and the battle truly is ours. Looks like we got relatively little damage on most of the units for which we wanted to take relatively little damage, so well done. Ah, very nice, gloriously effective, very minimal losses at only 24, and those, I imagine, primarily to the Skeleton Warriors, whose losses we don't really care about. We are going to, wow, 314 kills on the Blood Dragon Knights, hardly surprising, and decent work out of the 2 units, or 4 units of the various Bloodkin. Nice. Alrighty, we ooh. Okay, yeah, so we can't construct a Bloodkeep immediately because we lack those dragon scales. Gonna have to find an enemy legendary lord, hunt them down, and acquire those. Now, we do have the option of sack and raise. Sacking for 3k, pretty good in this early portion. I think we sack and then we raise next turn. I guess we'll have to auto-resolve that, but that's fine. Let's do that, and Razor Sag, Gristle Valley, and yeah, we got plenty of cash to be getting on with now, and win 3 battles against the Empire will reward us our first Dragon Scale, and then the ability to either raise a Bloodkeep or, I suppose, upgrade to this thing. Oh no, we need 2. Alright, we'll work on it. Fyldorf is near to us, so we can try to hunt down Balthazar Gelt and his +6 armor defeat trait, which is pretty useful. Rebuild the Old Keep gives us 2 Blood Kisses, which I take it we need to transfer... Let me just see here. No, not you. Is it blood kisses? Yes, it's blood kisses that are used to upgrade these guys. Alright, that's fine. Rebuild the blood keep gives us 20, or we need 20 units, but 10 more units. So, you are going to encamp. Then we're going to build some stuff, and... okay, not some stuff, just the one thing. This will give us horde growth, nice, and we can't afford anything else. It requires 1 horde growth to get the burial ground to get the skeleton warriors. This is what we already have and will enable us to get bloodkin thralls at level 2, but we need the dragon scales for that. So we need to get that as soon, as quickly as possible. Alright. And the horde growth as well. Anyway, let us see what else we have here. Ooh, I do wonder if there's horde growth in this portion of the tree. Actually, you know what? Probably not worth it, right? This guy looks to be very, very point hungry. In fact, it's unlikely that we'll be able to get everything, so we probably shouldn't risk it. As in going through the blue line. Except possibly for the Restless Dead here. Let's immediately get the Curse of Undeath. You also don't have Raised Dead, but you do have Power of Darkness, which will enable us to get more mana, which we need. So I think we'll prioritize that over the Restless Dead first. Then... you have the same set of skills, so I guess we'll get you... you know what, let's start with Power of Darkness on you, then we'll move into Curse of Undeath, probably another point in Invocation of the Eternal Wanderer on everybody, because more healing is better, and then we'll spam Chillwind. I don't like Gaze of Nagash as a spell, I think it's too expensive for what it does, and generally, even with the buffs to magic missiles, I still don't like them very much. So we'll probably ignore that, plus Chillwind is nice and spammable. And what do we have here? Soul Stealer and Wind of Death. Soul Stealer to heal you up massively, and then Wind of Death to dish out massive amounts of damage. Alright, all of that looks great. And then you, sir, need to move into Raised Dead immediately. Man, so if we turn you into another Blood Dragon, you will lose your access to Raised Dead, so there is an argument to be made for not actually, not ever actually upgrading him to Blood Dragon. I wonder if the Drakenhof Templars or the Depth Guard Champions, what do you have access to? Sea Revenant gives you, transforms to dragon form. We'll obviously check all of these out. I just want to see whether you have any kind of summoning abilities. You apparently do not. Alright, what about the Drakenhof Templars? Do they have access to regular Raised Dead? They have Storm of the Night. Okay, so this is the Von Karstein lore. And it doesn't appear that they do. But the Von Karstein lore likes doggos and bats. Could maybe summon some bats or something, but anyway. Alrighty, well, I will consider whether to do that with you. Anyway, I believe we are good now. Wait. We can't actually move, can we? This is just, it's lying, right? Huh? Oh, do you have a slight amount of movement remaining? Oh, but we wouldn't be able to raise it in the same turn anyway, would we? You know what, just double check. Oh, this will take all of your movement, though. Actually, not all of your movement. Alright, you know what, I just want to check. Yeah, it's do nothing. We can't raise it, unfortunately. Alright, fine. Back off. Hopefully this won't prevent our encampment thing. We'll encamp, and then we'll recruit some zombos. We have recruit order library units. Okay, so presumably we need the order libraries to actually use them and check them out. That is fine. And what do we need to get to the Ordo Templarius? The Drakenhof Templars are the second most powerful Blood Knight order. Oh, and for those unfamiliar with the lore, just as a little bit of a... there's a distinction between Blood Knights and Blood Dragons. And not all... well, Blood Knights are basically just vampire knights. Blood Dragons are a specific order. There's actually the waters are muddied there because Blood Dragons are also a bloodline, which can be a little bit confusing. I'll get more into this later. I want to continue a little bit for now. Anyway, let's end the turn. Let's proceed to raise Gristle Valley. Actually, you know what? While the turn is ending, Walach Harkon is the leader and, well, sort of founder of the Order of Draconis Blood Dragons, which are a little bit, or which are distinct from Blood Dragons, the bloodline, which was founded by Abarash. I suppose you can make the argument that Abarash, having sired Walach Harkon, therefore makes anything sired by Walach Harkon also part of the bloodline, but there is still a little bit of a distinction between the Blood Dragons, as in the Order of Draconis Order, which, or the Knights of Blood Keep, versus Blood Dragons, the bloodline of Abarash. Anyway, let's see. You have recovered a unit. Technology Blood Scent, alright, let us immediately... Ooh. No, we probably don't need this as yet. Let's go into Unholy Bond, because I want those rune weapons immediately. It's nice that this is all one turn as well. Gonna be some useful stuff here. Anyway, you should resolve this real quick. And, oh, you know what? I wonder if we lose all movement if we do this. Let's find out. We need to find out anyway. Raise the place. And you do indeed lose all movement, so what we were better off doing was to move to this side, and then raise it this way, although he stopped moving anyway. A great and worthy act. Ooh, you got another thing unlocked. Now you have unit capacity +2 for Blood Dragon units, which is swell, except that we can't build them as yet, and we still need those dragon scales. Got that Hellsteed mount for Teresia Gantz, and that's great. Because he was quite slow until now. Alright, back into the encampment, I guess, and let's make some more zombos. Alright, anything we can build here? Or are we gonna go through some turns real quick? I guess we are. Alright, let's get a few more points as well. You know what, since we're marching now, let's get the Restless Dead for the campaign movement. And you know what, we do have money available, so I think we will get the Veteran of Blood Keep just for the additional movement. It feels like it'll be quite useful. There we go, and this is a follower/ancillary, I take it? Yes, alright. To Walach. Alright, let's level everybody else up and let's continue. You are going to need the Curse of Undeath immediately, and you need to max out Raise Dead, because it's obnoxiously useful. Alright, and... you are building zombos. Perfect. End turn. Alright. I guess we're marching on to Fyldorf. Alright, while the turn continues to end, I guess. So, the distinction between Blood Dragons and Blood Knights. Yeah, as I was saying, Blood Knights are basically just vampire knights. All... okay, well, that was quick. Armor +5 for lesser vampires. Yeah. So, the Drakenhof Templars is an example. The Ordo Templarius. They are all Blood Knights, but they are not Blood Dragons, because they're a separate order. And for those of you who already know this, yeah, not everybody does. Let's see. Plenty of people enjoy this game who don't know anything about the lore. Do we raid or do we keep making zombies? I mean, I guess we want to max ourselves out and, ooh, we can build one of these, especially since we don't have the dragon scales to upgrade you as yet. Yeah, you know what? It's probably worth our time. Casualty or punishment trait? Yeah, let's do that. Alright, go here. And we'll take a look at... I was hoping that it would be Balthazar Gelt. Does Vicious Gobspit give us a dragon scale? Because he's the leader of the Skull Takers. I guess we'll find out. If he's close enough to attack, I mean. Let's get some more zombies here. Can easily replace them, especially since they're cheap, and then we'll go for the training grounds. And then we'll get the burial ground afterward for skeletal warriors, though this is obviously the more important thing. Next, we'll get rune weapons, because we want magic items dropping as much as possible. And we're good. Alright. Come on, Balthazar Guild, come here. Go to Fyldorf. You know you want to defend it. I see Ibn von Leibwitz, but I don't see Guilty. Well, that's unfortunate, but oh well. Magic item drop chance, great. We are going to go into You know what? Unholy Endurance is great, but it probably will only apply to our Blood Dragon Knights specifically, and we spam heal on them a lot, so it's not super relevant right now to our technologies. We're going to switch out to the Disciples of Abarash, and then try to get into Let the Feast Begin for the additional campaign movement range, and Grave Robbers for that additional income. Walach, 'tis time to fight again, good sir. To Fyldorf we go. I also didn't check which vampire lords are in this that we can get. I wonder if we can get to the, if we can get Conrad von Karstein, who is a complete maniac. Just such an insane character. But he did have both Blood Dragons and Tempelhof Templars in his army, and he did tear apart the old master of the Drakenhof Templars as well. And let's face it, Walach Harkon turns to chaos, so would putting Conrad von Karstein on the field be such an insane thing? Anyway, can't ask to join the war, unfortunately, or join war against you. I'm also not thinking, what if we attack Wissenberg first? Are you leveling up? Now, Fyldorf is still at level 1. This guy's right there with a, you know, I think we're going for Wissenberg first. Declare war on you. Oh, you're at war with Skulltakers. Oh, Skulltakers. We'll attack you as well, but we can join the war and get a free 1,000 gold. Lovely. Lovely indeed. Alright, and Ordo Profundum, Ordo Templarius, and Ordo Draconis. Oh, these are the levels of them currently. We just need the technologies and the stuff. Anyway, to Wissenberg, we do have to hit Nuln anyway, so we always had to declare war on these guys. And let's kill their Elector Count, Eben von Leibwitz. What do we have in terms of defenders? We have a Mortar, which is going to be very much a threat to our Zombos and our Skeleton Warriors, but otherwise I don't see this concerning really at all. Heroic victory? I don't think so. Yeah.
We remember the first keep.
Alrighty, here we go. Still feels a little bit weird to be outnumbered as the vampire count slash the undead. Should always have a horde, numberless horde of zombies and skeletons to send at the enemy, but I suppose at least for the blood dragons it does make sense. What better way to acquire your martial masteries than to be horribly outnumbered by enemies constantly. Alright, and we're going to wheel around the entire enemy army, gotta love that Vanguard deployment on these guys, and then head directly for that mortar before our pile of zombies and skeletons move in. It may not be a numberless horde, but it should be more than enough to allow the rest of our army to play. We now have the Flying Bloodkin Aspirant, who can drop zombies on enemies at any point, which is going to be quite useful. We will raise the dead and hold the biggest blob of enemy we can back with that unit, while the Blood Dragon Knights, or Blood Knights, Blood Dragon Knights. Blood Dragon Blood Knights stream on in and hit that mortar. And there we go. We got a little bit of the casting in, but nothing too major. Power of Darkness activated so that we get a little bit more healing while we wait for, let's face it, quite a while for the rest of our army to move on in. They are quite slow. Fortunately, with the zombies here distracting like half of the enemy army, we are free to do damage with the Blood Knights and yet not have them get completely surrounded. I am not going to be getting tired of watching this. And we have just the one unit of Blood Dragon Knights so far. It's going to get so much more devastating quickly as we can make it. And there we go. Head into the biggest blob of enemies you can find and swing away with those great swords. Now, do the regular Blood Knights have area attacks? I feel like they should with the great swords. Alrighty, and the rest of our army is nearly there. We are still mostly just distracting the enemy. Anytime anybody tries to move in to surround our cav and keep them pinned in place, we target them and pin them in place instead. With piles of zombies, the back of our line is protected, as it currently is, by 3 units here, and here. Once again, you gotta love the usefulness of Raised Dead. Walach Harkon and Aelfric have together found Eben von Leibwitz, the enemy electric count, who leads their army, and it looks like he's going to be dropping as he's broken already fairly quickly. The rest of our army has moved in as the Bloodkin aspirants, or not Bloodkin aspirants, but Bloodkin Thrall warriors have arrived and pinned the enemy together between the Blood Dragon Knights. Hordes of zombies and skeletons move in as well, and now the entire enemy army is pinned. We also are now starting to rush around in the background with the Bloodkin Thrall Adept Knights, who are waiting to move in for the rest of the army to get distracted so they can freely kill the enemy crossbows without getting bogged down. Unlike the regular Blood Dragons, they're going to be a lot more threatened by piles of spears. And they are shock cavalry after all. Alrighty, there we go. Reminding me of Lewin's campaign a little bit, but definitely one of the reasons I love playing the Vampire Counts in general is that they have great cavalry. Although sadly, my favorite unit in the game is Hex Wraiths, and I imagine they're not available to this faction. Though I didn't 100% look through every unit available to them. But that's okay, because Blood Dragons are my second favorite, or Blood Knights. And then the zombies are like my third favorite. You gotta love the humble zombie. There we go. Anyway, the entire enemy army simply needs to be ground down via attrition now, and we are kings of attrition as we can keep everybody nice and healed up. Or at the very least, our elites don't care so much about the zombies or the skeletons. And at the very least, some of the enemy units are experiencing that whole numberless horde thing as they are getting surrounded by zombies from every side. And just a little bit more work, it looks like the battle is nearly ours as the bounce power has moved to about 80%, maybe 85% in our favor. Eben von Leibwitz has run away with barely HP remaining, and the enemy crossbows, the only range units available to them, have been destroyed over in the background, and our shock cav will be able to move to hit the enemy spears and such in the back as well. Still, impressive that the enemy are still holding the line, as it were. Aelfric leads our piles of zombies here against the remaining spears on just generally Empire state troops. Walach has peeled away from the enemy army to make sure that the enemy lord is not merely shattered, but destroyed as well. Alrighty, looks like some troops protect him, but it won't be enough as the enemy lord loses his arm, I think it was. And as soon as the enemy lord dies, the morale shock is in, and the entire enemy army will shatter. Very nice, and they will get run down and feasted upon by whether it be vampires or a pile of zombies. Glorious. Anyway, don't really need to chase them down since it is a settlement battle, and on top of that, the enemy has the vigor losses, so we're good. Apparently a close victory, but it's probably due to the mana expenditure than anything else. It's not like it can be ammunition expenditure after all. Alrighty, very nice once again. A little bit of damage to our zombies, but that hardly matters, and no damage whatsoever to our vampiric units, which we prefer. Obviously, the enemy army had to struggle due to the march stance that Eben was in, therefore their army had the vigor reduction, though that reduction isn't really nearly as bad in the standard game as opposed to SFO, where vigor loss is just very bad. And ooh, we did get a blood dragon, or dragon scale as a reward for that, which is great. Alright, close victory, yes, sure. We care. Huh. You construct a massive bloodkeep here. -1 dragon scale. We do have -1 dragon scale, but this isn't actually an option here. Not that it's a big deal, mind you. You know, I want to preserve movement range. I mean, it depends on if we can hit file door from here or not. I forgot to check how much movement range we had. We can always come back to... You know what, let's sack it and then we'll see. Ah, you moved the wrong way. Okay, well that doesn't help. Mortal Informer, magic item drop chance. I guess we are in range of Nuln, but without the 3... Wait. Actually, wait. I do wonder if we need 3 to colonize the libraries. I don't want to go over there if we don't have enough, you know? And whether it needs 3 or actually needs 1. Like, before when we targeted this, it looked like we needed 3. But here it looked like we needed 1. I suppose we could sack Nuln and move back into it. Ooh, although... Maybe we don't want to sack it. Maybe we want to preserve it at tier 2. No, wait, it'll go back to tier 1 anyway. Well, either way, we can't move right now, and we still have to keep an eye out for Balthazar Gelt. Let's go into encamp stance right now, and we'll stay along the road sort of here. Hopefully this will allow us enough range to either hit Fyldorf or Nuln as needed. Then... And we can get an upgrade here. We won't be able to upgrade you without a second dragon scale, but we can get the burial ground. If nothing else, everything in terms of upgrades here is quite cheap. Unassigned skill points, I guess we can assign them. Gonna be a lot of skill point assignage in the early game. You have 2. I mean, I guess we want Invocation of the Eternal Wanderer maxed out, then we'll go through Chillwind. Though, you know what? Let's put 1 point in Chillwind right now, just... Potential additional damage. I'm tempted to get replenished troops, so let's focus of Invocation of the Eternal Wanderer and Chillwind first, and then we'll do that after. And then you can max out Raised Dead. It was super useful there, and I imagine it'll continue being super useful. Keep on building those zombies, which cost nothing. And barely cost anything to recruit as well. Also, I haven't checked diplomacy, but I don't imagine anybody nearby likes us. Oh, interestingly enough, Paravon doesn't really care.
Yes.
Vissenland wants peace, but that's obviously not going to happen. Alright, end turn. I just really want Balthazar Gelt to come here to Fyldorf so we can kill him. For a number of reasons. But I still don't see him alas. Oh well. I wonder if iron or... anything here is of any worth to us. Hard to say. Weapon strength plus 5% for vampire units. Swell. We'll want to let the feast begin, so that means we need both of these, I guess. We'll get both of those. And we are indeed in range of Nuln. Alright, I guess we hit Nuln. If it takes 2, or if it takes 3 dragon scales and we don't have enough, that's a shame. But that means we could just sack it and then return to it later on as we move down to Fyldorf, since there's no Balthazar Gelt nearby. Clarion Call, faction leaders killed in battle. Oh, it is, yeah, it's faction leaders killed in battle. So if we find that little orc army again, then it'll be worth our time. But there's no easy other way to acquire any for us right now, so... Hey, Reikland discovered. Ah, damn, I was hoping it was Carl. Alright, honestly, this is not worth fighting. It's probably gonna damage our army, but it is what it is. We'll heal up, not a big deal. And we can indeed construct the Bloodkeep immediately. Well, that's just fantastic. Construct. Lovely. Rumors of the Wanderer and whispers of a hidden threat. Ooh, I like the artwork. Tales have reached your ears of a prospect you've long thought impossible. Abarash. Why would you think it's impossible? What, did you think Abarash would die somewhere? Abarash, the first blood dragon, is said to walk the lands once more. We must investigate these tellings, for surely our father would not let his children be cast from their own homes and hunted down like animals without recompense. We must be wary, though troubling claims of roaming bands of vampire thralls have also been heard, for who knows what motives drives such dregs. Investigate the rumors. I take it this give... Ooh, Book of Ashur, nice. Quest issued. The Hidden Threat Part 1. The road to revenge is fraught with perils, both expected and unexpected, and... Ooh. Duskreaver Marines, Duskreaver Raiding Company, Lenny Bryan, Animated Hulks, and an unclear number of reinforcements. Should be a fun time. I think we'll want to probably knock out a few of these things early. Now, Nuln, what do you give us? Alright, so we have defensive supplies, though the garrison is nothing to write home about, so we'll need to be careful there. We'll need to get to tier 3 in order to get the Bloodkeep library. Research rate plus 20, a library guardian quest will be issued upon construction, and a solid garrison as well. So once the library is up, we probably don't need to worry about protecting the place. It also seems that we need to acquire a lot of this precious metal stuff in order to go there. I haven't been raiding, but we can raise stuff, and yeah. A vampiric Bloodkeep library is nearby. A Bloodkeep library is located here. This will provide a unique building chain. Yeah, thanks.
Give me honor or give me death.
Alright, hey. Investigate these rumors. Order libraries. Ah, this increased our army capacity by 1. Okay, so we'll need to immediately build one and then leech some XP. Ooh, we got a lore blurb by the looks of it. Wait. The lore blurb for did this one disappear? No, it's right here. All right. No, the Library of the Bloodkeep is a grand and imposing structure that serves as the center of knowledge and learning for the Blood Knights. Housed within its walls are countless tomes and manuscripts chronicling the long and bloody history of the Blood Knights, as well as containing esoteric knowledge and arcane lore that is beyond the understanding of most mortals. The library's vast collection includes works on necromancy, dark magic, and the occult, as well as treatises on the art of warfare and tactics, all of which are studied and utilized by the Blood Knights in their unending quest for power and glory. So another situation where it's talking about Bloodkeep, and this is a Ordo Draconis Bloodkeep, but it's talking about Blood Knights in general, as opposed to Blood Dragons as an Ordo Draconis order, not bloodline Blood Dragons. Anyway. Walach, you can't move this turn, which means you're going to Dotternbach next, but for now let's build you some Skelly Boys. And what do we have here? So we can only get a Blood Dragon Lord, and thus we shall. We have the Dark Virtue of Stoic Violence, melee attack, weapon strength, and ward save, versus Dark Virtue of Eternal Discipline, speed, charge bonus, and ward save. The Eternal Discipline appears to be vastly inferior to Stoic Violence. Oddly enough, it should be 20% speed and 20% charge bonus if they want to contend with melee attack and weapon strength at that rate. Especially as these guys are going to be very quick. Let me just see here. Skeletal Hippogriff. Yeah, the thing is, the regular Blood Dragon Knights are still going to be moving at 70 move speed, so the extra speed on the Blood Dragon Lord isn't really all that valuable. I suppose if they're on their big ol' mount, a dragon, then it might come in handy. Another zombie dragon. But the zombie dragon's regular speed is at 90. I don't see it being crazy useful. Anyway, do you have anything interesting in your line, as in, do you support any specific kind of units? You are a Blood Dragon Lord, but I don't see anything specifically buffing Blood Dragons, meaning we could, for example, have this guy lead a bunch of Graveguard and Black Knights if we wanted to. Alright, Zacharias von Schwarzhofen. Yes, it's like all the typical names. Anyway, let's end the turn, let's proceed. Unassign skill points, end turn. We'll assign them afterwards. Frankly, at first we'll probably have to use Zacharias to defend Nuln, and oh, I wonder now, is Zacharias also a horde, or is it a mix of hordish and non-hordish armies? Because that feels important to know as well. Bloodkiss plus 2, swell. Rebuild the old keep, the path of the dragon, great. You are not a horde army, you're a regular army. Okay, interesting, interesting. So yeah, this guy will probably be the caretaker or castellan of Bloodkeep, the new castellan of Bloodkeep, and we'll keep him around Nuln while Walach wanders, because he has the he has access to all the fancy horde buildings. Nonetheless, I'm hoping these guys don't immediately attack it, because I want to leech some XP with Zacharias. Let's head to you here. I guess I want to raise this, won't we? Yeah, I probably want to raise this. Go here. We want to raise it for the... Just wait a second. This guy certainly laughs a lot. I love it.
Blood guides me.
We'll also probably want to channel a little bit because we're running low on magics. Out of result of this, a little bit of damage to the zombies, I'm sure. Raise it for 2 precious metals since we'll need them to upgrade Null. Then... Shield of Talos, sure. Yeah, +1 Dragon Scale. Swell, we got 3 now. Ooh. Alright, we're definitely going to use those. Let's upgrade immediately to the Hideout so that we can start getting Bloodkin instead of regular Skelly Warriors and stuff. Win 3 battles against the Empire. The times has finally come for you to take revenge on the impudent humans who once destroyed your glorious keep. There will neither be any mercy, nor will anyone be spared from the coming massacre. They took everything from us and almost wiped your order out. Now they shall feel the consequences of setting against Walach Harkon. Revenge will be yours. And we get 2 more for occupying Nuln, which we have done. Many years ago, you came to the Bloodkeep and slew all the members of the Knightly Order, granting those who were worthy with the Blood Kiss, and founded the Ordo Draconis. Now the time has come to reclaim what you once raised and rebuild the ancient Bloodkeep. Yeah, so this is what you're talking. Well, this is what I was talking about. There is confusion as to the founder of the Blood Dragons. Walach Harkon is the founder-ish of the Ordo Draconis, or technically the founder of the Ordo Draconis was a human guy, but the vampiric form of the Ordo Draconis was Walach Harkon, but the founder of the Blood Dragons was Abarash, but nowadays the Ordo Draconis and the Blood Dragons bloodline are sort of synonymous in that they're referred to as the same thing when you say Blood Dragons, which is where some confusion among some stems from. Anyway, Walach, do some upgrades, good sir. And you can also... Yeah, it's very funny. You, sir, take some zombos. And I was gonna give Walach some of the armor, but it doesn't really matter. Get some skeleton warriors. Oh, these guys are also free. Nice. They just cost to recruit. Well, isn't that just swell? Alright, I guess there's nothing else to do here, at least for now, so we'll skip character initiatives available. What does that mean? One of these? Oh, yes. I'm not sure. I kind of want to keep Raise Dead, at least for now, which means I think we'll forego making you into a Blood Dragon champion. Enraged Battle Cry, Heart Piercing, Gaze of Nagash, Invocated Oath, similar to what we have already, Ordo Draconis, Curse of Undeath, but yeah, no Raise Dead. And I do really like Raise Dead, frankly, because this guy has buffs for Graveguard and for Black Knights. We could very well also put him into Zacharias' army and then make him use Black Knights and Graveguard as a sort of follower army / guardian army of Nuln, which I do like the idea of. Also, what do we have here? Recruitment, ooh. 3 precious metals for this, not worth it. We'll save the precious metals, I think, for the Force Gathering, because we'll want towers or defensive structures there.
Bow before me,
And for now, it's fine. We should also probably join some of these zombies together, but since it's taken a while to recruit, we'll hold off. We will not, however, hold off on the points assigning. Chillwind for you, and Invocation of the Eternal Wanderer. Beautiful. And we'll be able to get... ooh, actually... Honor or Death gives us a passive healing, another source of passive healing, and we do want more healing, so we'll deal with this, and it's when casting for 8 seconds, and it does affect everybody. I guess so it doubles up with the Curse of Undeath. Nice. Out of curiosity, you do not have the equivalent, so you, when casting, are limited by the Curse of Undeath. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we keep this guy. Like I said, I do like the idea that he powers up Graveguard and stuff. You can go into Chillwind, and you have a different version of the Honor or Death, which is not a pass. Well, it is a passive, but it's just a straight-up damage resistance buff. You know what? I think we'll go for Invocation of Eternal Wanderer first, then Chillwind, then Replenish Troops. We'll want to get Wind of Death as well, and then you, before I forget you, let's max out Invocation of Nahek. Also, nobody has a heroic killing blow yet, but we'll get it eventually. Alright. I imagine we won't be able to get all the way to Filed or... Balthazar Gelt, yes, alright. I was wondering whether we will take the final battle for this episode, for the starting episode, wherein we've achieved a decent amount of stuff already. Whether we'd take it here or where, but I think Gelt will provide it for us, so... I'm happy with that. Determined Thralls, please, +2 melee attack, and then into the Let the Feast Begin and Grave Robbers. We can indeed reach guild, so you will go right here and leech some of that XP. And ooh, Vicious Godspit is right there as well. Ooh, we can reach them both. Yes, more dragon scales. Alright, let's level up and let's head into it. Yeah, you sir. I guess let's max out Chillwind for this, and we'll be casting it a time or two. And I guess you could go into, you know, let's get you the Hunger. We'll want to get Van Hel's Danse Macabre. The thing is, we don't have access to Danse Macabre on these guys, and it is a fairly good buff, so... and an area buff as well. So there is definitely an argument to be made for getting it. And, bunch of Savage Orcs, fun stuff. There is an argument to be made for getting it and keeping it. We may even want another one of these heroes in Walach's army, while we send the other one to buff up this Zacharias' army. Anyway, attack. Enables replenishment, wins a magic area. We'll need that, but right now we busy. You are at war with nobody. Well, you'll be at war with somebody now. Alright, Guilty, let's get your armor defeat trait. And ooh, the Witch Hunter threat is coming as well. Man, it's gonna be hard to only play one of these episodes a day, damn. Alright, we better do good with the not the allegiance, the engagement threshold for this campaign, so I can play as much of this as possible. Anyway, what do we have here? You know, he's got some Outriders, which will be annoying. 84 speed means we won't be able to catch them with anybody. Potentially, if we get into combat with the Bloodkin Aspirant, we can hunt them down with the Adept Knights. There's also the Cannonry to consider, and of course Gelt with his Searing Doom spam, though that's more so going to be a threat to the Zombos and Skellies, so not a huge deal. Away we go.
Faithful disciple to Avarash.
Alright, ooh, I like this lighting. Looks very nice in this particular battle. Looks like Aelfric will be in the lead this time around, moving a little bit faster than Walach is, while we charge on in. And we charge into a specific unit. The enemy has 2 handgunners on the field, and they're the damage dealers for early game Empire, and, well, frankly, one of the damage dealers. There is another Free Company militia here, but they're relatively low in terms of armor piercing, so not going to be nearly as threatening. Oh, these are Free Company militia as well, rather than handgunners. I just saw the symbol. But anyway, might as well destroy them. I actually have a very, very healthy respect for Free Company militia as well. I love the unit, and those who recall my Karl Franz campaign will probably remember me constantly saying how much I love the unit. And constantly build them. And they're so cheap and so effective. And available so early. But anyway, with those guys pretty much destroyed, I mean, we had to charge something. We head directly for Mr. Balthazar Gelt, who immediately drops to about half of his HP. Sadly, he doesn't have his flying mount, and thus has no chance to get away. And it's not going to be super effective in melee anyway. We're going to drop a Chill Wind near him, mostly just because of the blob of enemies, while we bring Balthazar Gelt down. And there he goes. Delivering the final blow is Aelfric, while we... let's see what we have here. Walach Harkon got stuck. Okay, well, he's stuck fighting some great swords, so if nothing else, he's stuck fighting something that is a threat to him. But while they're distracted by Harkon and the Blood Knights, a lot of the enemy units are blind to the fact that the zombie hordes are moving downhill upon them. Some of them react, but a little bit too late, especially considering there are Bloodkin Thrall Adept Knights moving around in the background, and the Bloodkin Thrall warriors arrive as well. Enemy army appears to be about to get crushed by multiple portions of our army. Over in the background, we've, as planned, caught the Outriders and are destroying them with the Bloodkin Thrall Knights, or Adept Knights, and our now flying Sorcerer. as he had the speed to actually catch them. And there we go with that. The rest of the enemy army is over one run. We can see their leadership quickly dropping everywhere. Lots of effects on this army. And I'm still currently playing with the reduced effects mod, but any custom effects wouldn't be affected by it anyway. Alright, some nice charges over in the background from our unit of Bloodkin. And now it's just a matter of forcing the rest of this army to shatter. A lovely little fight Gelt, but by the looks of it, it's not going to be too much in the way of a threat to us. And there we go. With that, the last of the enemy units will shatter. I was hoping or thinking perhaps that the greatswords will hold on to a little bit longer, but considering Gelt was down and the rest of the army destroyed, hardly surprising that they weren't able to hold on. Since the enemy army was in march stance, we don't need to chase them down, and a decisive victory for us as well, which means, unlike the previous battle, we didn't expend too much mana either. I really got to remember to put us in channeling stance, though, because we do need it. Alright, a very nice battle. Once again, though, poor Gelty did not get the chance to dish out too much damage, and the damage he did deal was to a summoned unit of zombies. Once again, gotta love the usefulness of that Raise Dead spell, regardless of the fact that it's not a blood dragon unit, and this will probably be the only unit in the army that cannot Vanguard deploy. We can heal up to full, but frankly, with only our zombies and skeletons damaged, it hardly matters. And racking up the money will enable us to get more ancillaries out of the Dread Tree, and or whatever it's called here, Martial Valor. I'm going to be referring to it as Dread constantly because of the Beastmen, aren't I? Oh well, what can you do? Anyway, release those captives for now. For the cash, and we'll have to hit a Vicious Gobspit next. There's that armor defeat trait that we wanted. Missile resistance, you know what, if we're on a zombie dragon, will be quite useful. And ooh, hello. The Crimson Blade, the very sword Walach used to cut down the true Grandmaster of the Order of the Blood Dragon. Its keen edge means red ruin to any who dare oppose him. Gives him the Blood Frenzy ability, or passive rather, for when he's constantly in melee, a little bit of melee attack, and a massive increase to his damage dealing prowess for 25 seconds, so the cooldown is quite long, so we'll have to be relatively careful in how we use this. Anyway, with that, unfortunate as it is, I'm going to have to call this first episode here. And next time, we'll hit Vicious Gobspit, then go into our Horde stance, and then upgrade the... We'll need a little bit more precious metal. Alright, so we'll kill Vicious Gobspit, then hopefully go into raiding stance, acquire enough precious metals to upgrade, and then get some more Bloodkin on the field, since we can build them. Probably going to be the regular Thrall Warriors, just so that we have a bigger melee line. And I take it that these guys, since they're just regular thralls of no particular distinction, we can upgrade them to Blood Dragon Neophytes as soon as we get them up to rank 7. Which should be relatively quick. They're already at rank 5 and they run things down fairly quickly. So, anyway, lots and lots more glorious Blood Dragon action, or I guess Blood Knight action in general, to come. So stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.